How are you? I'm very excited to be here today, and it's been a lovely morning so far. Enjoyed the music and seeing the people and the relaxation and sort of, how do I put it, informality of the process that's gone on this morning. I love that, where we can feel comfortable and at home and doing what we want to be doing. So welcome, everybody. It's a thrill to be on with you today. And Bill called me and asked me if I could do it. No, I offered to do it, actually. And so I'm on, and I haven't had a long time to prepare, and that's fine because I don't take a long time. I prefer to be right on the day when I really do things. And one of the things is that I'm going to read you what I wrote as a sort of summing up of what I was doing today. And I've got understanding, letting go, and trusting infinite potential. That's the title of my talk today. Most of us have made much progress with putting our attention on thinking of divine mind instead of our fear-based thinking. And sometimes we are finding that we don't go far enough or somehow miss the path for which we wish. Maybe even if we are doing well, we know there is more pleasure to find. So let's play with this concept today, all right? I am really interested in learning how to increase the flexibility and power of my thinking. I've been involved in Unity for many years, as many of you know. However, the big news is it doesn't matter how old you are, how long you've been in Unity or Alcoholics Anonymous or anything, as long as you've been practicing the stuff, there is another level to go up to. There's always another level. So we don't get stuck saying, I've been doing this for 40 something years and blah, 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 and I'm not going to do anymore. We have to say, I've been doing this for 47 years or whatever it is, and I am ready to go up higher and get more freedom. Because that's what we want, don't we? Hands up those who want more freedom. Yeah, I've got a few of you in there that want some more freedom. We want more freedom, and we want more power, and we want more pleasure. Let's be honest about it. We do want more pleasure. Most of us have been working hard and being virtuous and what have you most of our lives. And we've put off pleasure until later, always putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. But anyway, the thing is that the abundant life is here now, and we can experience it right now if we really believe that there's a higher level to go to. So I'm just going to tell you that I've decided I'm going to basically use the daily words because the meaning of them, Bill's just read today's, and it's beautiful. And I really want to talk about some of the detail of that. Is that okay with everyone? Does that sound okay? Hands up if you think that's okay, just as well, because that's what I'm going to do. Most of us have practiced. Most of us have practiced that we have been turning our mind up to higher thinking. Divine mind. We've heard of that, and sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. I've spent a lot of time focusing my attention on divine mind, and it's funny because quite often I'll sit myself down comfortably and say, right, this is, now I've got a comfortable position and da-da-da-da-da. I'll tune into divine mind. And do you think I can get it? Not on your Nelly. There's no way. All I can get is silly thoughts that keep coming in, and more worries seem to come up. And I think, what on earth am I doing? I am supposed to be getting in touch with higher mind. And here you are, Miss Munchkin, you're a blooming Unity minister. Will you get with it? And then I start beating myself up because I haven't got there. However, it's just one of those things. Sometimes there is a block that I have to find first. So a lot of the time I recommend, if you find anything like that happening, I recommend that you see if you can find out what the block is. Because quite often we have things coming up from our subconscious, and sometimes they're underlying worries. They're worries that have been underlying there for ages, and we've stuffed them down and stuffed them down and stuffed them down. And then when we leave our mind open and we're wanting to get higher mind in there, or whatever you want to call it, and we get the worries come up, and the worries come up. The underlying worries have to be dealt with. I'm sorry, but they are important. And if they come up when you're in a special meditative time, they're even more important and must be dealt with. So I went to the daily word and decided to follow today's daily word a little bit, a lot actually. And guess what it's called? Let go and let God. Have you ever heard that before? When you've got worries coming up, we've got to let go and let God. And today it says, I bless myself when I let go and let God. We've heard that from Bill. I find myself ruminating over a concern, a weighty decision. I release its grip on my attention by letting go and letting God. So there we are. We've got this stuff coming up, and we've got to do the letting go and letting God. Well, that's fine. We're going to find out a bit more about how to do the letting go. When I let go, I'm placing my trust in divine mind, the source of infinite potential. Infinite potential. What does that mean to me? Infinite potential. What does that mean to you? Infinite means infinite. Potential means power. So in the divine mind, there is infinite, unending power, potential. I believe there are solutions and remedies of which my limited human mind simply cannot conceive. So that's admitting that our human mind can't get all of the solutions like that. We can't get them just like that. We may have to do some more work to dig a bit deeper into our subconscious and our superconsciousness to get there. When I let God, I am trusting the grace of God will bless my life in the most wondrous and even surprising ways. So when I trust myself to God, I'm giving God permission to come up with wondrous and secret ways that are somewhere in the consciousness around me and in me that I haven't found yet. Undiscovered gifts or energy or something. I don't know what it is, but it's something that I have to believe is inside me because I am part of the universal consciousness, because we're in, the universal mind is in everything, and we are in universal mind all the time. Every cell of our body, every piece of our furniture, everything we have is all part of infinite creativity. It's all part of the God creation. And we are always part of it. So we have to connect with that and say, okay, you're greater than my limited view of myself. Fix me. And so when I let God, I am trusting the grace of God will bless my life in most wondrous and even surprising ways. So that's what I discovered in that part. And I thought, well, gosh, I've got to look at different ways of doing these things. I've got good ways of doing things that I've learned through Unity and learned through all sorts of things and experience. But what else is it I've got to do? I've really got to look at this letting go business. And the letting go is absolutely the most important thing of the whole thing, because we were not taught as little children that it was okay to express all our feelings, were we? We were not allowed to express all our feelings. Now, the book that I love so much is called Letting Go, and it's by David Hawkins, and I can't find it at this moment in time, which is silly. And it's a beautiful book, and it's by David Hawkins. And it talks about all sorts of feelings and thoughts and stuff that we have going on in us, and how to bring about the process of letting go. Now, one of the things that David says that I think is important to most of us is that we were all taught, I would say all of us were taught, that it wasn't okay to cry. It was not okay to, certainly not okay to cry in public, and that it was not okay to express our feelings in front of other people, and we shouldn't be crying. Am I right in that? Wave your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Yep, there's a few others. Boys particularly were not allowed to cry, but girls were not. I was not permitted to cry. I'd come home from school, having walked to the station, stood up on the train all the way, 10 minutes or so on the train, walked back from the station to home, and come into the back door to my mother in the kitchen after being treated badly, I think badly, nastily at school. And I would have my little mouth with that, and mother would take one look at me and say, "Don't cry, pull yourself together, go upstairs, pull yourself together, and when you can be sensible, come down." And so I learnt never to cry until I was in my 40s. And then a wonderful woman at Unity Village, Martha Judici, was helping me and counselling me and so forth after the death of my son. And she used that as a great excuse to get in touch with my grief. And I cried, I promise you, I cried, not all the time, but a lot for the next 5 years, because I had so much grief beaten back into my body from me not letting myself cry. And I cried my first tears of my grief about all sorts of things on Martha Judici's bosom. And my mother's name was Martha, so it was very funny. I used Martha as a mother. And I was able to cry myself free of those, of not only Andy's death, that was just one of them, but the other things that I had suppressed and suppressed and suppressed. And after 5 years, I was so much more free. I could really be me in a whole different way. And I promise you, I'm a totally different person from the one that had all the pain squashed down. And the pain is underneath something wonderful called anger. And I'm not going to ask for anyone who was allowed to be angry when they were little, because I'm jolly sure that most of us were not allowed to be angry a lot. And a lot of us were angry, because anger is the way we cover up pain. Anger is the way we cover up pain, because we're not allowed to cry, and we have to stuff the pain, and we stuff it with resentment and anger. So when you feel resentment or anger, I'm sure none of you ever do, of course, you're all too perfect for that. But thanks, Jenny Louise, I love your smile. The time you do feel that at any time, please look at what's underneath it and find the pain and heal the pain. And you will find, as you say yes to the pain and allow it to be, the anger diminishes and the whole upset diminishes. And you can get up in about 10 minutes and walk away and you're a whole different person. I promise you, it's the way it goes. Recommend the book Letting Go by David Hawkins. Recommend it highly. Now we get the things that are old, things that we've hung on to, resentments. Now, I'm sure nobody here has ever had a resentment, but in case you know anyone who has, resentments are just old feelings that have been stuffed down further. So now you know what's covering them. Anger. So will you please look at your anger about the resentments instead of being little perfect people who don't have any anger. Just know that you're little perfect people who do have anger, because you're normal. You're human. You're the way God created you. And anger is a part of that creation, whether you like it or not. We've all been told that anger is not godlike. Well, I'm sorry. We either have a God that's created everything or we don't. And so the anger has been there as a warning for us that we're on the wrong track. So we say thank you to the anger and let us point us where we really want to go. So resentments have to be dug up, looked at, the anger found and accepted, and then the forgiveness will come as we let go and let God deal with it. David Hawkins says, fear of life is really the fear of emotions, not the facts we fear, but our feelings about them. So instead of avoiding each feeling, the recommendation is to face them, to feel them, to acknowledge them, and find where the anger might be and allow it and let it go. Because as you allow something, it loses its hold on you. So then I popped over after that, this one, I haven't finished it quite yet reading it to you. When I let God, I'm trusting the grace of God will bless my life in the most wondrous and even surprising ways. Surprising about the anger, ain't it? Letting go and letting God is how I live my faith. I surrender to spiritual truth, the presence and power of God, and believe the best outcome is going to be so much better than anything I can imagine. And before we faced the anger and looked at it and let go of it, we didn't imagine anything else. We couldn't imagine past that. It was a total block. I affirm, I let go and let God and relax into knowing I'm deeply loved and abundantly blessed. And then I decided, okay, well, that's interesting. I'm so hooked on this daily word at the moment. I've got it open still. What was the daily word for yesterday? I focus on the world I wish to see. Isn't that interesting? We've just been dealing with the world we don't want to see. My wish is to live in a world of beauty and wonder, filled with kindness and gentleness. Now, doesn't that sound like a nice world to live in? Doesn't that sound like a nice life to have? Wouldn't you love to be filled with kindness and gentleness, of beauty and wonder? When we saw those beautiful scenes in the song a little while ago, wasn't it fun just to see the extreme beauty and love the countryside and love the kangaroos and love all the things that we saw? We opened up to so much beauty and kindness and gentleness and wonder. We allow them to fill our mind and our heart. As my thoughts of beauty and harmony grow, they begin to crowd out trouble. So all that nasty stuff that we had running around in there gets crowded out by the beauty and wonder. And we start to get, oh, no.
Grace, sorry, you've put yourself on mute accidentally.
Yeah, I unmuted. I got the message, thanks. I muted myself accidentally. I'm present to the world as it is, yet I remain mindful of its changeability and impermanence. I focus my attention on that which is changeless. The love, peace, and perfection of God all around me and always within. Now, can we do that? Can I do that? If we look inside and we see the world that is changeable and impermanent, and if I don't like what's going on in me, if I don't like it, I know that I can change it. And what do I want to change it to? Love, peace, and the perfection of God, all around me and within me always. So we've got all this lovely perfection around us. I often imagine the sort of universes as being like a big tray with a whole bunch of little worlds made around in the tray. It's hard to describe all the way through the little worlds, little universes all around inside this thing. And the whole thing is completely little pictures, little pictures, little pictures of the whole thing. And that's the way we are, because all our cells and everything about us is just a little picture of the whole universe. And when we can see that that's the way it is, and we're just one of those little things, and all our cells are one of those little things, we're all part of this whole universal power and presence. It's absolutely exciting. And we can think about that rather than our little limitations, can't we? We can look at ourselves and say, hey, there's more inside me than I've allowed out in the past. We can say there's more love in me than I've ever expressed, and I can express more. I can think about more people more kindly, more often. How often do we see the television, of course. The news has got all these pictures of something dreadful going on and people being frightful to each other all the time. We're just inundated on the media with nasty pictures. Have you noticed that? It just goes on and on and on. I can't watch it. I can't do it. But the thing is that we've got all these pictures around us, and we need to have pictures of something that we really do enjoy, something we really think is beautiful. That picture behind you is just so gorgeous that I'm looking at now, and it's just beautiful. I can look at beautiful things pretty well anywhere. And when I look at beauty, I see much more of the love, peace, and perfection of God around me and always within. I am never at the mercy of present circumstances, no matter how troubling, when I can focus my attention on all that is right and true. All that is right and true doesn't say that it's perfect according to somebody else's rules. It's talking about it being perfect and right and true as it is. By focusing on divine love, peace, and perfection, I help them manifest in the world. So that's yesterday's daily word. That was great. And then I had a look at tomorrow's. Anyone want to know what we've got coming up tomorrow? I enter my inner sanctuary and breathe in peace. Inner peace is the word for tomorrow. Inner peace is a sanctuary I can enter at any time. So let's take a moment or two now and join ourselves into the inner peace that is within us and all around us, and get ready to enjoy today and the day after and the day after and the day after. I focus in on the peace. How do I imagine peace? How do I feel the peace in myself? I focus in, imagine peace. I imagine power. I imagine freedom. Freedom to express my feelings to myself first, and then to others as I choose. I have the freedom to express my feelings to myself. And if I don't like the feeling, I have the freedom to choose it, to choose something else. If I feel an enemy approaching or a dangerous situation, I can choose to feel the presence of God and know that the situation will be handled by the power of God, the almighty creative experience of the universes is with me is leading me. This whole enormous universal love is enfolding me and keeping me safe. I relish the feeling of being loved and supported by the whole energy, and knowing that I have the whole energy in every cell of my body. And right now, no matter what, I bless my body and every cell with the divine peace and the presence of the power that creates, maintains, and expands the universes. I am not alone. I am surrounded by peace, healing, and loving oneness. Take another nice deep breath and breathe that in. Even deeper. And again, breathe it in. And once more for Jack Boland. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Thank you, Grace.